Anything further?
No, other than I've noted from some individual conversations with commissioners that you may be seeking to have individual discussion on the public infrastructure fund item, and so I understand that may be pulled from the consent agenda. I just wanted to invite the mayor and council member and city manager to stay for that discussion. So before anybody wanted to extend that invitation.
So the question is, it will be pulled, or you're considering pulling it?
It's not my choice to make, it's the commissioners, but I've had some indications that may happen.
That's not an exclusive invitation, of course. Well, we do have a consent agenda.
Yeah, and I do intend to pull item 2 and 5. Item 2 really just for a typo. That's the one on budget extensions, and just to point out that in the discussion about it, it talks about the number above is above 2007, 2009, 2010, and trailing 2009 by 30. That should read 2008 by 30. And I got that from Michelle.
And we can address that after.
Yeah. So I'll move the consent agenda minus item 2 and 5.
Okay, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda minus items number 2 and item number 5.
And then I go ahead and move item 2 with that change with that typo.
Okay, we need to. First, we'll need to pass.
Can we vote? Oh,
Yeah, we haven't voted yet. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. I'll get back to work.
Okay, back into order. Do you have something to say about item 2?
Item 2, I'll move with the change in that one typo.
Moved and seconded that we approve item number 2 with the aforementioned typo change. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We want to address item number 5. That is the public infrastructure funding. It has come to our attention that, as was mentioned in public comment, that the governor's budget, as proposed, going into this special session, does severely curtail the amount of sales tax money being rebated to counties. I believe that's 32 counties out of 39. And some of this money is bonded, $2 million worth, I believe. And that doesn't mean that's going to happen, but it is something that's in the mix, and we're in a special session coming up, and with the 2/3 needed to raise new revenues, there's a lot of anticipation that meat budget will be an all-cuts budget. So it's a very difficult time, and I really understand some of the difficult choices they're facing there. When you look at them cutting basic health and other things, it's difficult to argue for things that are actually very, very important for us compared to some of the cuts they're probably going to end up making. You see school equalization money on the table. You see a lot of things that affect rural counties. So it is a time to try to band together as rural counties and really take a look at these and work with our legislators to see what we can do. That said, you know, what the proposal is on the table is to cut it by more than half. And I think we need to really take a moment and analyze what that means before we make any further commitments on these funds. And that's not to say anything bad about these projects. I mean, as I look at the letters of intent for several projects that we'll probably be talking about in the next PIF meeting, which I think is scheduled for the 17th, Thursday the 17th.
Yes.
And, you know, this is one that, you know, I've voted for in several different ways, and did recommend that we do this back in March. It's a good project, and I know the city's taken a lot of hits over the roundabouts up there, but undeservedly in my mind. You know, we have a corridor study that goes all the way from the ferry dock to 104 that identifies a lot of different needs along that way, and it was really important to do some intersection improvements at Howard Street. And a roundabout versus a light was a legitimate debate, and I think the roundabouts are working well. And that ended up being paid for by state and federal money, which I applaud the city for going after those. It's a good project because it opens up the business park there. And the other two pieces of the transportation part of that is connecting to Howard Street and Discovery, and then also addressing the entrance to the city at Mill and Discovery and that little issue along there. So I think you know, these are good projects that fit together, and I remind people that it was done while the ferry service was down. And so not to have that disruption ongoing and continuous, but to speed things up and to try to get things done so you minimize that period of disruption for the businesses there and the people there, for a project that really has regional impact. You know, that whole corridor really does connect with Island County on the other side of the ferries, Clallam County, Mason County, even Kitsap. So this is one of the projects that I look at that has the greatest potential for creating jobs and spurring private investments. So I certainly wouldn't want to send the message that this is a no, but it's a wait. And I think we need to analyze what the budget implications are, what the implications are for the other projects, what we do in terms of paying our bonded indebtedness, what the balance is and how we manage that. And I think we ought to do that post-haste. I think we ought to have that analysis done in time for the Public Infrastructure Fund Board meeting so we can get that input from everybody. So whereas I understand there's a lot of advocacy for this project, I think it's prudent to wait on it.
Yeah, well said. I'd like to, when I think particularly about the, when you look at the new car wash, how convenient would that have been without the roundabout? And you and I have gone to Olecap quite a few times, and every time you leave Olecap before the roundabout was put in, it was a dangerous exit if you were going back to town. And the same thing with the mental health center, Goodwill. And I know for the other roundabout, there was, you know, the city received complaints that it made business more difficult. But I noticed that every time I go through that roundabout, instead of just whizzing by some of the businesses, I'm forced to look at them and look at their displays. And I wouldn't be surprised if it had a positive impact on the local businesses there.
Well, and roundabouts don't really work too well by themselves. They have to be in connection with the other parts of the street. And often that's another roundabout so that people can't get around. And that intersection too is part of a longer term plan.
Yeah.
And it's less disruptive to do it when it was done.
Early, yeah.
So,
Well, I just would like to say that, you know, I'm in favor of honoring this grant agreement with the PIF funds. We have the funds in the account, and I think we should honor it today.
Commissioners, one of the things that I think is important to perhaps invite some information on and for consideration of the fifth board and yourselves is the city has proceeded understanding that this had been a grant for $500,000 and that these are funds that have been expended, that they've invoiced for pending approval of the grant extension. Recently, we know that the city is under a lot of pressure financially, as many jurisdictions are, including ourselves, and that they've got a number of capital projects pending in the downtown area. And so I think it'd be important to understand, if you were to delay payment on this, what are the impacts to other capital projects that they have, because these things don't happen in a vacuum. So I don't know if you would wish to invite that Dave Timmons to speak to that now if he's able to, or come back at a future meeting. But I think it's important to have full information.
Well, I would certainly agree with that, and you know, I read in the paper, and I take it with a grain of salt sometimes when I read the paper, but it was commented that there might have to be choices in the city about priorities, about which infrastructure projects went forward and how. And so, you know, they do have several things going on. So yeah, I anticipate more information. If funds have been expended already, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I'd like to know about that too.
So is there public comment after this, since it's pulled off the consent agenda?
Commissioners wish to-
See, Michelle, if it's okay, is it all right, gentlemen, to invite the mayor to?
It's just the question, I don't know how your procedures work. Whenever we have an agenda item, consent agenda item pulled off, then it becomes part of the regular agenda, and we have public comment.
We're going to have considerable complaint from certain members if we don't, at least procedurally, ask if we want to invite members of the city staff to respond. Gentlemen, is it, do you approve having the mayor and or her staff respond or add some information at this time?
We've made that exception before for other elected officials and for other visiting people from other entities, including, I think, in the city before. So briefly, I know we've only got a few minutes, but
right. So this is an exception that we make on occasion to invite elected officials to speak. And, so, Your Honor,